how are you? It's biscuit time. Today we're going to be making some very simple and easy embossed fondant biscuits. These are all the trend at the moment and everyone's doing them. So I thought I'd teach you a simple and quick, easy way how to do it at home too. Let's start baking. All you'll need is some water, a paintbrush, a good quality rolling pin, a corn flour duster just to make sure our fondant doesn't stick, some good quality ready to roll fondant. I've used the Bakels brand today. In Australia we do have really high quality ready-made products from your local cake decorating shop, so source some of that. Then we've got a rectangle cutter, a nice thank you cursive embosser. These are from the shop online 3D Print All the Things. And then I've just pre-rolled and cut some vanilla biscuits. These are in a hexagon shape. I love the way this just changes it up and it makes it much more interesting than just a round cookie. So be experimental with whatever cookie cutters you can find. I've also got some Colour Mill emerald green food colouring today. I'm just going to knead that into the white fondant just to give it some different colour, and of course you can do this marble as well. I'm just going to lightly dust the surface with a little bit of corn flour. And we're going to take our fondant, and it's important that you give this a good knead, especially if it's straight out of the packet, as it can be quite dry. Once you've got it nicely kneaded, you can just take your food colouring, give it a good shake, and then we're going to add a few drops. Now I'm just going to knead that through. You can use any food colouring you'd like. I would recommend trying to buy a professional food colouring instead of one that's in the supermarket because they are quite watery. For fondant, I usually use Americolor. I find that the best brand for fondant. This is just what I've got on hand today. It's actually a oil-based colouring, that's why it's more liquid. It's what I use in my chocolate. So we're just going to knead that through. If you would like it marble, that would look absolutely fantastic to roll that out now, and you've got some white streaks in there. Today we're going to be just kneading it right through, just to make it a solid green. So I find it easier to do it up in the air when you've got a lot of food colouring. Then once you get it nearly kneaded, I find it's easy just to knead it through on the bench to give it a good go. Once I've got that all kneaded through, I just set it to the side, and you want to make sure that you use this straight away so it doesn't dry out. I'm just going to quickly wash my hands because you don't want any of that wet food colouring to go back onto the fondant because then you will get streaks. And if you do have any left on the bench, just give that a quick wipe and dry it before we go to the next step. So I recommend wearing gloves when you are colouring the fondant if you do have them. Otherwise you might end up looking like Shrek. But it's all part of the fun of making your own confections in the kitchen, so we'll get there in the end. So I'm going to start rolling out my green fondant, and then we're just going to add a bit more corn flour. And we're going to start rolling. Just make sure you pick it up every now and again just to rotate it to make sure it's not sticking. Alrighty, and that's a good thickness for me, so I'm going to stop rolling now. Because this fondant is quite soft, if you have any divots that are not perfect, just don't cut them, just cut around and we can re-knead that and re-roll it out, so don't stress. Now I'm just going to cut the hexagon using the cutter, so I'm just going to push down and rub it against the bench just to get a nice smooth cut, and we're going to lift and pop that to the side. We're going to do that 3 times because we have 3 biscuits here today, so I'm just going to cut them all first so then we can roll up this fondant and put it away so it doesn't dry out. Now that my biscuit icing is cut, I'm just going to roll this up and pop it away because it does dry out really quickly, so we want to make sure that we put this away before we start our next step. I'm just going to knead this so it's all ready for next time, so this is great because you can keep reusing this until it's all used up. So I'm going to take my embosser. You can get these made custom with even names and ages for birthdays, or I bought this one online that says thank you. I thought it was really cute to have something nice and script. I'm just going to push lightly into the fondant to emboss that. So when you do emboss with fondant, you just want to make sure you do use a bit of corn flour, otherwise you might get it stuck in the cutter. So as you can see, we do have a little bit of corn flour left on top, but that's not to worry, we'll be fixing that shortly after we stick it onto our biscuit. So I'm just going to take some water here and put it on the back of the fondant, Some people prefer to put it on the biscuit, but I find that, I don't know, I just really like doing it this way. I think on the biscuit it's kind of deceiving because you can't see how much water you're putting on, so I'm worried that I'm going to put too much. So I like to do it this way, and then you can just flip it onto the biscuit and smooth it out. You can just use your finger to go around the edges to smooth that out and make it all presentable and nice. So now I would usually leave these for a few hours to set and get a crust on top, so then I can take a fluffy brush and take out any of that corn flour that's in the indents without damaging the biscuit. But you all know I'm impatient and I want to eat these straight away, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. As long as you're really careful, it will be fine. Of course, if you'd like, you can leave them plain, but we all know I'm a little bit extra at the best of times. So I've got some gold paint here. I'm just going to take some and show you how I like to just add a bit of artistic flair. So I just like to add a few gold paint streaks. I think it just adds something extra, and you can just add these wherever you'd like. And of course, if you are at home and not a professional, this is the best option if you want to cover up any mistakes, because any bits that you don't like, whoop, just put a little bit over the top. All fixed. What an amazing present these would be. If someone handed me these that said thank you, I would do anything for them, because that is just the ultimate gift. Something that you can eat that tastes delicious and something that's been handmade with love. You can obviously personalize these with any color fondant, any color sprinkles or paint streaks that you like. So get creative in the kitchen and tag me in your creations. If you'd love to see new creations from me, please show me your support by liking and commenting on the video, and of course subscribing so you can see all my new content. I can't wait to get baking, and I'll see you next week.